I am going to be reading the book of Ruth from the King James Study Bible. I think I'm going to read what it has to say about it first, and then I'm going to get into reading the Bible. The book of Ruth derives its name from its principal character, the biographical sketch of the godly young Moabites. Contains much information concerning the customs of ancient Near East and provides its readers with some valuable data regarding the ancestry of King David. It also demonstrates God's gracious concern for all mankind, Jews and Gentile alike. The book was read at the Feast of Pentecost. Historical settings. The opening verse places the book in the era of the Judges at a time of great famine, such as condition existed in the day of the Midianite oppression. If this was the occasion spoken of in the book of Ruth, a date in the middle of the 12th century BC would be distinctly possible for the events narrated here. Besides the opening statements of the book, the internal evidence reveals an intimate acquaintance with ancient Hebrew and Near Eastern social customs. These data argue strongly for an early date. Moreover, Jewish canonical traditions link Judges and Ruth together as one book, again pointing to an early date. Thus, seeing the book of Ruth provides its readers with a light, spiritual faithfulness in a period of otherwise spiritual darkness. Authorship. The author of the book of Ruth is not known, although several suggestions have been made, the most prominent of which is Samuel, because some of the customs have to be explained to its reader, and a genealogical sketch from Ruth's day down to King David is appended to the book. Some portions of Ruth must have received a final editing in the early days of the United Monarchy. The author has many purposes. Historically, he provides information as to certain activities and customs in the period of the Judges. Theologically, the book emphasizes the sovereign activity of God's providential working in the affairs of man. Not only does God's promise to seed of Abraham go on through the troubled time of the Judges, but he so arranges the details of Earth's history and the chosen line to include salvation for Gentiles as well. Ruth thus provides an important link in the unfolding Messianic genealogy. Devotionally, the book provides several analogies between the work of the kinsman redeemer of ancient Israel and that of Jesus Christ, who serves as the saving mediator for all men. It also assures the believer of God continuing love for a helpfulness mankind and his willingness to meet man's needs. An exciting story of true romance. The book also gives instruction in practical living in such things as personal morality, a genuine concern for the needs of others, and the necessity for personal godliness in the face of testing and adversity. A great deal of helpful information for today's Christian women may also be found in the example of Ruth, whose virtues of godliness, purity, humility, honesty, fidelity, and thoughtfulness remain an exemplary standard for all. Similarly, Boaz becomes for the Christian man and a model of God-given strength, honor, graciousness, courtesy, and compassion that can give encouragement for becoming a believing gentleman in the finest sense of the word. So now we're going to get started. I might not say everything perfectly, but hopefully it's close enough. We're going to go to chapter 1. This is Elimelech's journey to Moab. Now, it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife was Naomi, and the name of his 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, Euphrates of Bethlehem, Judah, and they came into the country of Moab and continued there. And Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left and her 2 sons, and they took them wives of the women of Moab. The name of the one was Oprah, or I think I said that wrong, was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth, and they dwelled there about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died also, both of them, and the woman was left of her 2 sons and her husband. Chapter 1, verse 6, Naomi to return to Judah. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law that she might return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab how the Lord had visited his people in giving them bread. Wherefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her, and they went on the way to return unto the land of Judah. And Naomi said unto her 2 daughters-in-law, Go, return each to her mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you as ye have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant you that ye may find rest, each of you, in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept. And they said unto her, Surely we will return with thee unto thy people. And Naomi said, Turn again, my daughters. Why will ye go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? There's more down here, but I'm going to continue reading. But I think I'll come back and it has like little excerpts of what we just read. But I think I want to just finish the chapter and maybe read a little more on this with the study Bible. Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, if I should have a husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would ye tarry for them till they were grown? Would ye stay for them for having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sake that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voices and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. And she said, Behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. Ruth chapter 1 verse 16, Ruth refuses to leave. And Ruth said, Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. When she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left speaking unto her. On verse 117, how she said she wants to be buried, I kind of feel like it's better to be buried than cremated. This is just my personal experience, but when I picked up my dad's ashes, it was really hard, and it just didn't feel right having my dad in a box. Sorry, that's probably too much for the reading, but I wonder if there's cremation in the Bible. I don't think there is. Arrival in Bethlehem. So thy two went until they came Bethlehem, and it came to pass when they were come to Bethlehem that all the city was moved about them, and they said, Is this Naomi? And she said unto them, Call me not Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty hath dealt very bitterly with me. I went out full, and the Lord hath brought me home again empty. Why then call me Naomi, seeing the Lord hath testified against me, and the Almighty hath afflicted me? So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, which returned out of the country of Moab, and they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of barley harvest. Ruth gleans in the fields. And Naomi had kinsmen of her husband, and a mighty man of wealth of the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said unto Naomi, Let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him, in whose sight I shall find grace. And she said unto her, Go, my daughter. And she went and came and gleaned in the field after the reapers, and her hat was too light on a part of the field belonging unto Boaz, who was of the kindred of Elimelech. Boaz asked about Ruth. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem, and said unto the reapers, The Lord be with you. And they answered him, The Lord blesses thee. Then said Boaz unto his servant that was set over the reapers, Whose damsel is this? And the servant that was set over the reapers answered and said, It is the Moabitish damsel that came back with Naomi out of the country of Moab. And she said, I pray you, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the shelves. So she came, and hath continued even from the morning until now, that she tarried a little in the house. Then said Boaz unto Ruth, Hearest thou not, my daughter? Go not glean in another field, neither go from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. Let thine eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go thou after them. Have I not charged the youngest men that they shall not touch thee? And when thou art at thirst, go until the vessel, and drink of that which the young men have drawn. Ruth questions Boaz. Chapter 2, verse 10. Then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said unto him, Why have I found grace in thine eyes, that thou shouldest take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger? And Boaz answered and said unto her, It hath fully been showed me all that thou hast done unto thy mother-in-law since the death of thine husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother and the land of thy nativity, and art come unto a people which thou knewest not heretofore. The Lord recompense thy work, and a full reward be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust. Then she said, Let me find favor in thy sight, my Lord, for that thou hast comforted me, and for that thou hast sorry, it's taking me forever to change this page. Spoken friendly until thine handmaid, thou I be not like unto one of thine handmaidens. Boaz shows favor to Ruth. And Boaz said unto her at mealtime, Come thou hither and eat of the bread, and dip thy morsel in the vinegar. And she sat beside the reapers, and he reached her parched corn, and she did eat, and was sufficed, and left. And when she was risen up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, Let her glean even among the sheaves, and reproach her not, and let fall also some of the handfuls of purpose for her, and leave them that she may glean them, and rebuke her not. So she gleaned in the field until even, and beat out that she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. And she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned, and she brought forth and gave to her that she had reserved after she was sufficed. And her mother-in-law said unto her, Where hast thou gleaned today, and where routest thou? Blessed be he that did take knowledge of thee. And she showed her mother-in-law with whom she had wrought, and said, The man's name with whom I wrought today is Boaz. Naomi gives thanks. Chapter 2, verse 20. And Naomi said unto her daughter-in-law, Blessed be he of the Lord, who hath not left off his kindness the living and to the dead. And Naomi said unto her, The man is near of kin unto us, one of our next kinsmen. And Ruth the Moabite said, He said unto me also, Thou shalt keep fast by my young men until they have ended all my harvest. And Naomi said unto Ruth, her daughter-in-law, It is good, my daughter, that thou go out with his maidens, that they meet thee not in any other field. So she kept fast by the maidens of Boaz to glean until the end of the barley harvest and of wheat harvest, and dwelt with her mother-in-law. Naomi's instructions, chapter 3. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said unto her, My daughter, shall I not seek rest for thee, that it may be well with thee? And now is not Boaz of our kindred, with whose maidens thou wast? Behold, the winnoweth barley tonight in the threshing floor. And now is not Boaz of our kindred, with whose maidens thou wast? Behold, oh, I read that already. I'm just continuing verse 2. He winnoweth barley tonight in the threshing floor. Verse 3. Wash thyself therefore and anoint thee, and put thy raiment upon thee, and get thee down to the floor. But make not thyself known unto the man until he shall have done eating and drinking. And it shall be when he lieth down that thou shalt mark the place where he shall lie, and thou shalt go in and uncover his feet, and lay thee down, and he will tell thee what thou shalt do. And she said unto her, all that thou sayest unto me I will do. And she went down unto the floor and did accordingly to all that her mother-in-law bade her. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn, and she came softly and uncovered his feet and laid her down. Boaz blessed Ruth, and it came to pass at midnight that the man was afraid and turned himself, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. And he said, who art thou? And she answered, I am Ruth, thine handmaid. Spread therefore thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman. And he said, blessed be thou of the Lord, my daughter, for thou hast showed more kindness in the latter and then at the beginning, inasmuch as thou flowest not young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, fear not, I will do to thee all that thou requirest, for all the city of the people doth know that thou art a virtuous woman. And now it is true that I am thy near kinsman, howbeit there is a kinsman nearer than I. Tarry this night, and it shall be in the morning that if he will perform unto thee the part of a kinsman, will let him do the kinsman part. But if he will not do the part of kinsman to thee, then will I do the part of a kinsman to thee, as the Lord liveth. Lie down until the morning. Ruth returned to Naomi, and she lay at his feet until the morning, and she rose up before one could know another. And he said, let it not be known that a woman came into the floor. 15. Also he said, bring the veil that thou hast upon thee, and hold it. And when she held it, he measured 6 measures of barley and laid it on her. And she went into the city. And when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, who art thou, my daughter? And she told her all that the man had done to her. And she said, these 6 measures of barley gave he me, for he said to me, go not empty unto thy mother-in-law. Then said she, sit still, my daughter, until thou know how the matter will fall. For the man will not be in rest until he have finished the things this day. think I'm going to read what it says about at the bottom of this page for the study portion. 2:16 through 19. Boaz, extraordinary goodness in seeing to it that Ruth had special privileges in the gleaning, enabled her to gather several days' supply in complete safety. Her mother-in-law recognizes that Ruth must have received distinct favor from someone and wanted to know his name. Chapter 3, verse 9. Near kinsman designates one of the social institutions among the Hebrew. Two of his many family responsibilities are in evidence in the book of Ruth. He was charged with redeeming family's property that had been lost or was about to be lost. He was obligated to marry the widow of the deceased near relative so as to raise up children to the name of the dead. The law of the near kinsman operated on the principle of degree of closeness of relationship. Boaz brings both duties to bear as one issue in the case of Ruth. 4:3, verse 5, chapter 4, verses 3 through 5. Naomi's instructions to Ruth to seek out Boaz are apparently in accordance with social propriety, in that the widow could initiate proceeding relative to the securing of the goal. Ruth's request that Boaz spread his skirt over thine handmaid is a symbolic pledge of marriage. It reflects a well-known custom in the ancient Near East that is still practiced in some quarters. The Lord had so moved in the lives of Boaz and Ruth that the duties of family institution were reinforced by a genuine love for one another. Accordingly, Boaz took special measure to see that no impropriety would mark the occasion. That no impropriety would mark the measure. The city gates served as the place where public affairs were carried on, especially for the admiration of justice, for the transaction of business arrangement. Oh, there's these pages again. I should have had it ready. Okay, I'm going to continue reading. Actually, I think I got to finish chapter 4. Ruth redeeming the inheritance. Then went Boaz up to the gate and sat him down there, and behold, the kinsman of whom Boaz spake came by, unto whom he said, How or ho such a one, turn aside, sit down here. And he turned aside and sat down. And he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, Sit ye down here. And they sat down. And he said unto the kinsman Naomi, that is come again out of the country of Moab, selleth a parcel of land which was our brother Elimelech, and I thought to advertise thee, saying, Buy it before the inhabitants and before the elders of my people. If thou wilt redeem it, redeem it. But if thou wilt not redeem it, then tell me, that I may know, for there is none to redeem it besides thee, and I am after thee. And he said, I will redeem it. Then said Boaz, What day thou buyest the fields of the hand of Naomi, thou must buy it also of Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. And the kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I mar mine own inheritance. Redeem thou my right to thyself, for I cannot redeem it. Now this was the manner in former time in Israel concerning redeeming and concerning changing, for to confirm all things. A man plucked off his shoe and gave it to his neighbor, and this was a testimony in Israel. Therefore the kinsman said unto Boaz, buy it for thee. So he drew off his shoe. Boaz redeems the land. And Ruth, chapter 4, verse 9. And Boaz said unto the elders and unto all the people, ye are witness this day that I have bought all that was Elimelech and all that was Chilion's and Mahlon's of the hand of Naomi. Moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead be not cut off from among his brethren and from the gate of his place. Ye are witness this day, and all the people that were in the gate. And the elders said, we are witness. The Lord make the woman that is come into thine house like Rachel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Israel, and do thou worthily in Ephratah, and be famous in Bethlehem. And let thy house be like the house of Pharez, whom Tamar bare unto Judah, of the seed which the Lord shall give thee of this young woman. The birth of Obed, chapter 4, verse 13. So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife, and when he went into unto her, the Lord gave her conception, and she bare a son. And the woman said unto Naomi, blessed be the Lord, which hath not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel. And he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life, and a nourisher of thine old age, for thy daughter-in-law which loveth thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons, hath borne him. And Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom, and became a nurse unto it. And the woman, her neighbors, gave it the name, saying, there is a son born to Naomi, and they call his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. Generations to David. Now these are the generations of Pharez. Pharez begot Hezron, and Hezron begot Ram, and Ram begot Amminadab, and Amminadab begot Najon, and Najon begat Solomon, and Solomon begat Boaz, and Boaz begat Obed, and Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David. I'm going to read the Bible part on the bottom, the study part of the Bible. This part is referring to Ruth chapter 4, verse 6. Although the near kinsman wanted to redeem the field that Naomi had up for sale, apparently she additional expense of providing for a wife, together with the probability of losing the property if a son should be born to the widow, caused the nearer kinsman to relinquish his right to Boaz. Since Boaz had arranged all the business details relative to acting as the near kinsman, no disgrace would attach to the nearest kinsman. There's a thing that says to go to Deuteronomy 25:9. The transfer of the shoe symbolizes the relinquishing of his right to act as the nearest kinsman and the exchange of his authority in the matters to another. 4:9 through 10. Boaz was able and willing to serve fully as the goal, both in the redemption of the field and in marriage to Ruth. The story serves as a vivid reminder of the sons of man who became rich, willingly died in behalf of a destitute mankind. Romans 5 through 6, 11, Hebrews 12 through 1, 2. Could read that later. Which he took into union with him as his beloved bride. 2 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 2. Then it says Revelations 19, 6 through 9. Then we're down to Ruth 4, chapter 4, 17 through 22. The list of 10 generations from Pharaoh's, Judah's illegitimate, I can't even say it, illegitimate, like not legit, son to David seems to reflect the prohibition in Deuteronomy 23:2. See notes and serve to legitimize David's claim to the throne of Israel from the union of Boaz and Ruth. Was to come the line of descendants that gave birth to King David, through whom came Jesus Christ. Thus, through the union of Jew and Gentile would ultimately come the Savior of all men. Acts 4:12. The marriage of Boaz and Ruth may thus serve as a picture of Christ and his church, through whom all believers become one. Ephesians 2:11, 22. Maybe when I do this again, I'll pull these verses out and actually read them with the study. Probably be a little better at sharing the Bible. Well, thank you for listening. I just really wanted to have a female speaker that reads the Bible. I'm honestly probably going to listen to this later myself, and hopefully my kids will listen to it as well. All right, thanks. I don't even know, this is my first live video. I don't even know how to shut it off.